I have great news for you. In this video, I'm going to share the best client proposal template for consultants and coaches. If you're a consultant, an executive coach, or professional services provider, chances are very good that you are spending way too much time writing proposals. So I'm going to walk you through a very simple template that you can use to make it not only easier to get the proposal done, but make it faster and better for your client, which means you can get to a yes quicker. Even better, I'm going to share, before we wrap up, a total ninja move that doesn't take very much effort at all, that is going to make your proposal hit home really hard for the client and get them wanting to take action faster. So let's get into it. First and foremost, you want to make sure that every time you're putting together a proposal, you're doing it as a slide presentation, not a document. It doesn't matter if you use PowerPoint, Keynote, or Google Slides, it's all the same, but by using a proposal template, it's going to be a lot easier for you to later walk the client through the proposal. And it's also going to be a forcing function to make sure that you don't write long paragraphs of text and too much information, which is just going to overwhelm your client and make them put off having to review your proposal until they absolutely have to. That's the exact opposite reaction that you would want a prospective client. You want them to get it and be excited to review the information. So let's take a look at this proposal template, make your life a lot easier. So we're going to go through about 15 very simple slides that are going to make up your entire proposal. And the great news is you do not need a fancy PowerPoint template. You can keep this as simple and clean as you would like to. Your cover slide will just say prepared for and include the organization's name. The client name should be the organization that you're presenting this to, as well as the project name, and then include your company name, your logo, and the date of the proposal. And of course, don't forget to include your website address on the bottom of the proposal. You never know who inside an organization is going to end up looking at it, so you want that in there. The next slide, you're going to capture in 2 succinct sentences the overall opportunity. Simply capture what the end result could be for the client with the right solution. What's their big vision? What's their untapped opportunity? What is the impact they're really looking to have? And here's a pro tip. Don't waste any time at all describing back to the prospect everything that they spent their time telling you. It's shocking to me how many folks literally write a novel back to their prospect, recapturing everything that they told the outside expert. They know, they're the ones who told you. So here we're just merely looking in 1 or 2 sentences or even bullet points to capture that big picture opportunity. On the next slide, you're going to capture 3 specific goals. And if possible, you want to make these measurable goals. And again, we're looking for either bullet points or at most 1 sentence each. You can see here, I've given you an example for goal number 3, something to the effect of reduce the percentage of employee attrition or also turnover among top performers by as much as 25% in the next 12 to 18 months. Notice a couple of things about this. I'm using an active verb, I'm using a measurable result of 25%, and I'm also giving a time frame to this of 12 to 18 months. That really makes an excellent specific goal. And here are just some quick examples of some active verbs that are really powerful because they communicate the idea of momentum and movement. If a decision maker and organization is investing time, energy, and money with you, they want to see momentum. They want movement. Some of my favorites are words like boost, raise, minimize, shorten, curtail, grow. These words speak volumes to decision makers. And of course, you can use ChatGPT to come up with even more. Next, you want to dive into the additional outcomes that they might expect to receive in working with you. Typically, with any initiative, program, or project, there are the primary goals that are being achieved, but then there's those added benefits. that an organization gets in their work with you. Maybe it's the knowledge transfer over to their team of best practices. Maybe it's about creating more unity or commitment on their project team. Maybe it's time saved in addition to whatever those primary goals are. Here's a great example that I've written for you with impact number 3, a thriving positive culture that is reflective of Acme's core values and brand promises. And we like to use the name Acme as just a placeholder for whoever your client is that you're building this proposal for. Next, you want to have one slide dedicated to the project scope, specifically what is in scope versus what is out of scope. And of course, in scope draws a nice line, a ring fence around what it is that you are proposing. This is going to help you avoid scope creep down the line, assuming they move forward in working with you. Now, the out of scope section is not something to skip over, even if you think, no, this is really clear as to what's in scope. You want to use the out of scope section to highlight any additional services or offerings that your company provides, because you can plant a seed with them right here in this section that those things are out of scope. And for a lot of coaches, a lot of consultants, inevitably clients end up asking for 1, 2, or 3 extra things all the time. It comes up time and again in your business. Now is the time to put it in literally black and white as to what's not included. Let them know it's out of scope, but that you're happy to provide it should it turn out that they really need it. From here, you want to move into detailing the exact components of what it is that the client is getting. Just identify each deliverable on its own slide. So are they getting coaching sessions? Are they getting training workshops? Are they getting people assessments? Are they getting strategic debriefs? Each of those things would be considered a different client deliverable. Each deliverable is going to have its own dedicated slide, and you're going to identify these as success components because these are the components that are going to make up the client success. Under each client deliverable, share anywhere from 3 to 5 supporting details so that they know all of the specifics around the deliverable. And you'll see here in this example, we're just providing 4 success components. On this slide, I'm sharing with you the 4th one, which is stakeholder interviews with key leaders. And notice how we're just bullet pointing out the specifics. 20 to 30-minute recorded Zoom sessions with up to 8 department heads. Expertly crafted questions to ascertain the most essential solution requirements. Support in identifying appropriate stakeholders and crafting communiques to secure their support. Your Acme's team, that's the client's team, to handle all scheduling with the stakeholders and address any resistance or lack of enthusiasm for participating. We're pointing out here clearly what is on the client's list of responsibilities versus yours. And then lastly, full transcripts, executive summaries, and so on. From there, your next slide dives into the client's expected return on investment. But we're not just pulling these numbers out of thin air. Instead, we're pointing out these return on investments based on the results and the value that your other clients have received in working with you on similar initiatives. And our recommendation is that you provide up to 3 ROI examples. Those 3 can be all from one client, or you can pick 3 ROI statements from 3 separate clients. And here's an example on number 3. The ROI number 3 is created 200% growth in revenue booked after replacing 50% of the sales team with right fit team members. And again, notice the specificity of that statement. Next, we're going to move into case studies. And we recommend including anywhere from 1 to 3 case studies in your proposal. But when we say case study, each case study should be limited to just 1 slide. An easy way to think about case studies is mess, turning point, success, or in this case, you'll see what was the starting situation, what was the solution that you delivered, and ultimately, what was the success that they achieved. When it comes to your case study headlines, don't just say case study healthcare system with 50 million in annual revenue. Say things like case study how a healthcare system increased employee engagement by 11%. So you want to give that result right in the headline because sometimes that's all they read. Next, you're going to share the ultimate business case to the organization. Why should they invest time, people resources, and money into doing this? How is it going to impact their bottom line? And this is a place where you can leverage all of that amazing third-party data that's out in the marketplace. Next, you're going to share the investment and the timeline. What are the success components? When are each of those success components happening? And what is the investment level for each component? The great news is you're able to take those success components you laid out before and just move them into this chart with the associated timelines and dollar values. And last but not least in this proposal template are the next steps. So what needs to happen from this proposal to you actually working with the organization and getting that kickoff meeting scheduled? You want to lay those steps out here. We recommend anywhere from 2 to 4 follow-up steps, as well as who is responsible for leading that step, ensuring that it happens, along with the timing, and specifically no later than when. That's what NLT stands for. If you're not familiar with that abbreviation, NLT is simply no later than. If you feel compelled to do so, you can also have an appendix with additional information that could include an overview of your team and their bios. It could include more information about your social impact as a company. And of course, you're going to make sure that you have your contact information in here for you and your organization. I promise to share with you a total ninja move that you can use that really changes the game. And this is something that a lot of your competitors are not doing that's going to put you heads and shoulders above them in the eyes of your prospects. I shared with you in the proposal template that you want to capture the business case for the organization. How is this going to impact their bottom line? And I shared that you can use third-party data to do that. You may even be doing that already today. But here's how you can take that to another level. Third-party data is good, but it's not as great as relating that data to your organization that you're talking to specifically. Third-party data is good, but it's not as great as relating that information to your potential client specifically, what that would mean to their organization. Let's say you're an executive coach and one of the things you do is help reduce turnover. And let's say a new research report came out that 3 out of every 10 employees are looking to get a new job soon. Well, that's interesting information. But if your prospective client, let's call them Acme, has, let's say, 10,000 employees, that would mean that as many as 3,000 of their employees are thinking about leaving their jobs. 3,000 of Acme's employees could be about to quit. Giving that data in relation to your prospect specifically completely changes the game in the proposal. And that's really easy to do because almost every third-party data out there is going to talk about either salaries or number of employees or percentages. And all you have to do is run a quick Google search to look at the size revenue of your prospect, how many employees they have, the level of those employees, and you can take that data and you can translate those percentages to what it means to your prospect specifically. When you do that, that's going to drive home the urgency and the impact and the cost of doing nothing should the organization punt on this opportunity. So do that in your next proposal, bring that third-party data home, make it specific to your prospect, and when they see that proposal, it's going to give them a lot more urgency to take action in working with you. So there you have a simple, powerful proposal template that you can use. It's going to save you a ton of time, along with a ninja move that's really going to impress your prospects. But look, you could do everything right in a proposal, and unfortunately, sometimes you can still get a no. And how you handle that no is a world of difference in whether or not that prospect ever becomes a client of yours in the future. So before you start work on your proposal, make sure you go check out that video. I've dropped a link to it right in the description below, and it's going to give you even more strategies to help you get a yes? And if you don't get a yes, what do you do to keep that opportunity alive into the future? I'll see you over there in just a minute.